networking, Angela, and you are a legendary networker. You're a great person to stand beside at an event because you know everybody and everyone gravitates to you. And I could reel off a long list of interesting people that I've met just by standing next to you and like hanging out. So can you give us your own top networking tips, because it's something that everybody's always looking to improve?
You are so welcome. This is AwakenHub's first birthday. It is so good to be here with all of you in this most beautiful summer day. Thank you for coming along. On behalf of my team and I, Mary Curty, Mary McKenna, Claire McGee, Sinead Crowley, I am absolutely delighted to welcome you all here today. We have an absolute jam-packed session as always, and we are giddy with excitement, I promise you, to welcome Agnela Brady as our guest speaker tonight. So the running order, so we all are ready and waiting. Mary McKenna will first introduce Agnela and interview for about 30 minutes or so. Then we will move into our breakout rooms. And again, if you have never been to an AwakenHub event before, the breakout rooms are a chance for you to meet new people and network, and again, make sure everyone has a say. And the theme for tonight is to share any insight or nugget that you've learned while you've been here with all of us at AwakenHub. And if this is your first event, maybe share an insight from tonight. And we know there's going to be many with Agnela, believe me, an amazing amount. Then after that, we will move into our short questions and answer session. And finally, before we close up for the night and head for the garden, we will pass the mic over to you. And if any of you have some questions for us, the founders, after a year, we would be happy to take them. So before I hand over to Mary McKenna to interview Agnela, some very quick housekeeping notes. So first of all, please don't record this session. As you know, we will post all the recordings up on the website this week. And please tweet if you're on Twitter. Our hashtag is AwakenHub and the handle is AwakenHub. So now I'm going to hand you over to Mary McKenna to introduce you to our really fantastic speaker, Agnela Brady. Welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Welcome, everybody. Particular welcome to our visitors from overseas. I see a few Americans on the call tonight. You're all very welcome. I also saw on the list that we had a few men joining us this evening, but I don't see them anywhere, and perhaps they were just they got some last-minute fears and weren't able to press the button. But hey ho! So it's great to see you all, and thanks for joining us. And welcome to our guest for this evening, Agnela Brady. We're really happy to have you with us this evening, Agnela, to help us celebrate our first birthday here at AwakenHub. So everyone, please welcome Agnela. Agnela is an award-winning architect, a practicing artist, a writer, broadcaster, and entrepreneur, and so much more. Agnela was president of the Royal Institute of British Architects from 2011 to 2013, where she was voted to be the most effective president in the past 28 years. As REBA president, she delivered more than 100 keynote speeches worldwide on topics ranging from sustainable cities to low carbon design. She was the chair of Women in Architecture from 2000 to 2006, where she championed diversity and equality in architecture. And in 2016, she was presented with the President's Distinguished Service Award for services to our architecture and education from our President, Michael D. Higgins. And in the same year, she received an OBE from Her Majesty the Queen for services to architecture and education also. So that nicely showcases Agnela's easy ability to sit comfortably between working and living in both the UK and Ireland. She has made 3 or perhaps 4 TV series promoting architecture and design, including Designing Ireland for RTE. And for the past 15 years, she has been making fused glass as an artist. And indeed, she sometimes incorporates some of that glass and also some of her paintings into the buildings she designs. So Agnela, you're very welcome. I could spend the entire 30 minutes that we have together reading out all of your achievements and awards because there are so many of them. But instead, in the time that we have together this evening, there are a few topics that we'd like to cover with you, and I'm going to jump all over the place as we don't have enough time to go through them chronologically. We are going to share some of your photographs as we go along and bring a few bits and pieces to life, and you are going to share, as you see fit, some of your top tips with everyone that's on the call here this evening. So I'm going to start you off way back in the mist of time, Angela. So your mother is an artist, so we're all really jealous about that. Tell us what it was like growing up with an artist as a mum.
Well, I kind of thought everybody's mum was artistic and is always kind of doing things or fixing things or being inventive, or, you know, if there's a bit of wallpaper missing, she would paint in the missing bit and have it all looking really nice. So she was always a very active person from the point of view of being creative. But it's interesting because then when you know, all of us, there's 5 kids, when we wanted to, some of us wanted to maybe go to art school, she said, oh no, she said, you know, artists never earn any money. You'll have to do something that is at least gives you a backup, and then you can always do your art at any time you want. So in a way, they were words of wisdom. But yeah, it's great to see her, and I just wish that I was in Ireland sometime to spend some time going out and painting in the countryside, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, this is a picture here you can see of Mum taken a couple of years ago. She's 90 now, and she just painted me this picture here of the fruit bowl, and she does birds and beautiful things. But since we were small, we were all encouraged to not to buy a birthday present, but you have to make something and give it. So I always think that's a really nice thing to do for your own children or your own parents or family.
I was very struck actually when I looked at the photographs last night, Angela, how like your mum you are. So it's striking, yeah. So you have done so many interesting projects in the course of your career. I'm going to hand it over to you for you to highlight a few for all of us, and maybe just tell us a few of your stories, if you would.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've been an architect. We set up Brady Mallalieu in 1987, so we were very young to be starting out, but we thought we might as well give it a go because we had a couple of extensions to do, and said, okay, well, let's start with that and see how we go. And we always had the fallback of then maybe going into practice, or, you know, if we needed to. So 3 projects I've highlighted for you there. Have you got the slide there, Mary? You want to just, so I see which one you're going up first? Okay, Massmaker Road. Massmaker Road is for Ballymore, who are an Irish developer. Okay, so the great thing about networking is the Irish have got such a huge and fantastic network. And if you can stick to that network, not stick to it, but join that network in all the different areas. And then you meet people and you exchange cards and you follow up. So it's really good to network where the business is. That's kind of obvious, but that's what we did. And through 3 recessions, we've managed to have kind of the same people coming back. But the point on this one was community consultations, where you ask people in a development of 200 homes here, for example, what do they want? You know, not presume you know what they want. So, and some of the guys they weren't coming to the meeting, you know, the public meeting. So I'd go out to the street and I'd say, hey lads, do you want to come in here? There's free pizza and beer and Coca-Cola or whatever. And, you know, give us your view, because there's going to be a big scheme coming here. And if you want something or you need something, tell us and we'll see if we can include it. So loads of them came in, and that was really good. And it's one lesson we learned is not to presume you know, but listen to people and then see what you can get in. But what we did get in was a little mini football pitch, which is just in the background there of that railings. So there's a football pitch on one of the upper floors, and then there's all kinds of allotments and things because the elders wanted to have somewhere to grow. So that was 2 big things that we actually added into a scheme that wouldn't have been put in before. And then another project there I could tell you about on the next slide, if you like, Mary. This is Brickworks. One of the important things in our professions and many professions and just in businesses in general is recurring clients. And if you look after your clients, they will come back to you. So we've been working with Islington Council for 25 years. And this is one of their schemes where they said, oh, just go up and have a look at that area there's a car park there, see what you can get onto it, and do a study, a feasibility study. So we did a feasibility study, and it was to include a community centre, bringing lots of people together. And that's the beauty of it, because we're building for people. We're not building as monuments to ourselves, like you can see many architects appear to do, but you're doing something to make something flexible, usable, easy to clean, and fun. And here we had a celebration of Chinese New Year, and then one of the meetings there for people, just a club meeting. So it's great. It's great to actually have projects like that, and you do the architecture and do the interiors, and then I always add in some paintings, add a splash of color as a personal gift or just something to kind of bring that continuity of style. And there's one other project there I can show you, Mary. This is where we saw a good idea that was Foyer des Jeunes, which is homes for the young in France. And ever since the Second World War, when women came together, they found that they couldn't afford accommodation. So they said, well, let's buy somewhere and share. So they shared accommodation, and then they shared, whether it would be weaving or sewing, whatever it was at the time, they shared the facilities to be able to make money. And this is like the Danish co-housing, where you share facilities, and then your own unit might be slightly smaller, but you have the benefit of childcare and cooking and eating together when you want. So with the foyer idea, it was a competition in UK, although we didn't win it. We said, this is a really good idea. They need these in Ireland. So we approached one of our contacts, the city architect, Jim Barrett, in Dublin at the time. And we said, we have a really good idea. If you show us a site in the inner city where there is a need for young people in housing need and in furthering their education, we'll do a feasibility study and then see if you can fund it. Not all clients would say, yeah, go on, have a go. They were very open and said, look, there's a site there, go meet the lads, you'll have to talk to the community. So over a 2-year period, we went in, we spoke to everybody, got permission, and this looks after 48 young kids who can go in here. There's a sports hall for training, there's cafe and stuff for training, there's rooms to let out. They've got small kind of student accommodation, and they eat together. So they're almost not forced, but they're encouraged to socialize, to stop that isolation that is so common with young people. So this was kind of a real learning curve on social habits and how you can help with the environment that you create to get people together. And then, it's a great project. It's, working with the council, and it was a real joy to work with inner city kids that you wouldn't have met otherwise. So yeah, we've done 200 projects. I won't go into all of them right now.
So, Angela, we met as part of the Global Irish Network that Enda Kenny had started a few years ago. And we spent a couple of days together in rural Ireland, travelling about as part of a group, meeting entrepreneurs and business designers and business people. And I can remember us meeting one day a young woman who was a designer of hats somewhere down the country. And she talked to us that day about how lonely and isolated she felt as a designer, and how difficult it was for her to build visibility of her brand as a solo entrepreneur, I guess, and how hard it was for her to amplify her work. And I think this doesn't just apply to fashion, it applies to many of the careers that people opt to select, where they are maybe working away in rural Ireland and they don't know anybody else. So I wanted to ask you a question about how people can combat this type of isolation at work through collaboration, and how we should go about finding others to collaborate, and where you've seen that work well in your own experience. Yeah,
this is the power of the network and women's great ability to multitask and do things that will bring people together. I think that one of the key things for people who are trying to start their own businesses or that are working solo, you can be isolated and you feel left out. But then you'll find that there are another 5 or 10 people in your area probably trying to do the same thing. So you have to kind of find out where they are. Like in our particular case, we were able to, with West Cork Crafts, okay, there's loads of West Cork Crafts people. They're all working in their own studios, but they come together for various exhibitions. So I got a group together, just literally meeting them at various exhibitions, going to their studios, meeting them in the street or friends of friends. And we said, look, why don't we have this group where we'll call ourselves 10 Hands, and we'll have different materials. We're working together, not in competition with each other. And I think that's a really valid thing, that, you know, together you're much stronger than you all are singly. So with all the different makers, you know, from pottery to, excuse me, pottery and clay. Excuse me one sec. So pottery, clay, leather, metal, all of the different things. So different skills all coming together. And then, of course, what you can do is you can kind of almost challenge each other. You know, I'd like to see a leather person working with a woodworker, and what would they come up with? Or a fabric person working with a chair maker, or a glass person like I did working with Holger Loms, a metal worker. And then you come up with something entirely new, so that when you actually collaborate with somebody, even starting off with the one-to-one basis, you can, your whole thoughts are just changed for the better, I believe. And you can do that in all kinds of businesses, and you can also share resources. So I do think that the coming together in collaboration as opposed to in competition is the key. And how to find the people is, who is your competition, and will they be willing to work with you?
It's also a great way, I think, for people to build their confidence as well, Angela, isn't it? So,
Absolutely.
I think through collaboration, it means you can kind of start small and work on bigger and bigger projects with other people, and that's great for that.
And it's not always about bigger projects or more money. It's actually about being able to do something that earns enough. You know, it doesn't have to be like this whole expansion thing. We have to double and double and double. You don't have to. You can do what's comfortable for you, so that you're not stressed out trying to do something, you know, that's over ambitious. So I think you need to kind of target where you want to be, you know, in 1 year, in 5 years. And that's hard to do, the 5-year thing, but it's just try and set small targets on the way, and then assess and see where you are. I find that very helpful.
I just see Assumpta actually posting something in the chat there about how collaboration is a real winner instead of competing. And I do see a few men that have joined us on the call. Just want to say that you're all very welcome. I can
Absolutely.
see Damien Kennedy down there in the corner of my screen, which is great to see. I think it's women's way of doing business, actually, is to try and find the route to collaborate rather than compete. I hate all that stuff about, you know, kill Mickey or whatever it is when Alton Towers are competing with Disneyland. It's far better to find a way to, you know, put Mickey on the roller coaster or whatever. I think is a better solution.
No, I agree.
So my next question, Angela, is about something that's close to many people's hearts on this call here today. It's about that idea of having a passion project as a side hustle, which of course is what many of us do, and often it is the path into taking that leap into entrepreneurship. So tell us about your own side hustles and why you think that they're important to do.
Well, I suppose my side hustle would be, on a creative side, would be fused glass. I don't know what, I've got a sample of fused glass in case people don't know what it looks like. This is the raw state of fused glass. One is clear and see-through, and the other has got a black to it. You can't see through it. And this is called dichroic, and it's a really shiny glass, and it's something that is just so seductive to work with. So I was on an open house viewing for studios down the road, and this guy was showing us around his studio, and he gives classes. And by the end of him showing around all the different things that they do with fused glass, I was hooked into starting the next Tuesday, and I've been doing it for 15 years ever since. But I think that one of the ways is, you know, when you're a creative, of which I think most of your people are, you're able to move your talent or your skill from one area into another, like from watercolor painting into ceramics or to glass or to whatever it might be. And a lot of people do this. And I think that, well, actually in this shot here, there's two tall panels there. One of them there, the middle one, was done in collaboration with another guy, the metal worker. And then these are pieces that are about, I don't know, 1 foot diameter, 300 millimeters diameter, the 2 lemons plate, or 450. You know, they're quite big pieces, and they're functional pieces as well. But it's just lovely to be able to create something out of, you know, a straight piece of glass like that you have. And then you can make jewelry and all kinds of things. But you are actually, when you're starting out, you only need to do it to start 3 hours, 1 day a week. So my advice to you, ladies and gentlemen, is sign up to that course and don't hold back and don't think you can't do it. If you can't do it very well, you'll be taught how to do it, and it doesn't matter. But I think just have a go and sign up to a class, something you haven't done before. You know, really go outside your boundaries and stretch your imagination, because you meet the most amazing people from all walks of life at these courses. And I think that that in itself is a joy, where you can meet just and have so many interesting conversations, but you're also learning a skill and taking it in whatever direction you want. And now, I mean, with our 10 Hands Crafts, we were the feature country in China Craft Week, where Ireland was the key country. And we had 10 hands, we had a video, we had made up all our stands for us. And you know, it's just such fun. And when you're meeting with other people, you're actually helping them, some of them out of their isolation, into this completely different network that is exciting and also very good for business.
So for you, Angela, is there ever a day you think you'll throw away those sketches for the architecture and you'll just work on the side hustles, or is it always going to be a combination of both?
I think it'll always be a combination, but I am spending more and more time on the fused glass, and you know, always doing 2 or 3 exhibitions a year, which I really enjoy. But you know, bringing people along with you, you know, for all of you that will be doing this now, it's hard work, and you don't necessarily get paid to do all of this. It's not about the money. It's about the creative skills and the new ways of doing things and moving things on. So good luck with that. I hope you all take it up.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to move on to a topic that's very, very close to AwakenHub's heart here, networking, Angela, and you are a legendary networker. You're a great person to stand beside at an event because you know everybody and everyone gravitates to you. And I could reel off a long list of interesting people that I've met just by standing next to you and like hanging out. So can you give us your own top networking tips? Because it's something that everybody's always looking to improve.
Okay, your business card is how people will contact you. Now, I do business cards for different things. I don't know if you can see these. So, for example, I have a picture of our studio and a project at the back. Whenever I give this to somebody, they say, oh, that's a lovely building. Where's that? And then you're immediately talking about something, and then you ask for their one and you say, oh, what's that? Or if it's for design and craft, it'll be one of my pieces and then that. Or if it's a specific one for a client, I'll do them a card specially, and then they can have some of these cards. Or if it's for our group, it'll be the 10 Hands Crafts with all of the details and the videos and all the details on the back with the websites. So I think I used to always talk about the 5 seconds. It's the 5 second card trick. When somebody asks you for your business card, you have got to have them available and out within 5 seconds. And you can do that now, ladies, if you want, and gentlemen. Where's your business card? Go on, put it up. 5, 4, 3, 2. Mary, where's your card? So networking, but it's also networking, not just talking to your peers and your friends. You've actually got to talk to people, you know, that are completely different groups. And that's why going to different events or parties or, you know, openings or launches to, you know, either to do directly, but also I find that charities, you know, the Irish people are very, very generous. And I think that when you know, we've got great insight, you know, into charity, and that's because of it's one of our national things. You know, we are very charitable. I think we give more as a nation than any other country in the world. But being on a charity or being on a board, I would recommend to all of you that you look up and see what boards you would like to help with your knowledge and experience and what you'd like to learn from. Because being on a board, I've been on boards, you know, for 30 years, and I've always had a voice, and sometimes I've been the only woman. Now is a very good chance because boards are trying to get up to the 50-50. And I think that when you're on a board, you have a voice. You learn a lot, you meet interesting people, you could get some business that way as it happens. But to give something back, I think, and for the very younger members, people want to have young members and young voices, because nobody wants the same old and the same old arguments. They need to know, what are you going to do about climate action? How are we going to do that? How are we going to help people in a positive way? And that's where you've got to stand up. You've got to make that effort to be there 2 evenings a month or 1 evening a month. And it will reap rewards in the end. And it will. I must say, I get great satisfaction from being on many of these different boards, whether they're educational or charitable. A lot of them are Irish, obviously. And you're just giving somebody a little bit of advice that they mightn't have thought about, and so are the other people around the table.
I think that's a great point about encouraging younger people to apply for board seats. And yeah, absolutely, boards are looking for younger people, because they're, a lot of them are towards the older sort of demographic. So do not hold back. You're never too young to go and join a board. I'm seeing a few questions coming up here, and I think I might just drop into the chat, Angela, without wishing to derail you at all. But Adele McDade has asked if you give us some tips really about succeeding in quite a male-dominated field that you've chosen. Like architecture is quite male-dominated, but you've got to the very top of your game.
Well, one way that we actually approached this is by our women in architecture getting together, and we were saying, well, look, we're as good as the men, if not better. We've had to fight harder for our places and to stay in education when there were a lot of things, certainly in my time in the 80s, 70s, late 70s and 80s, that, you have to fight harder. Therefore, it makes you stronger and you mustn't give up. So we got this group together, the Irish Architects London group, which was to challenge government over EU stuff. I won't go into that now. But the other thing is that sometimes, women just need that extra confidence, and you get that from being with other people in your networks. So with our Women in Architecture group, we started up this diverse city. And I think we were the first people to use the word diversity in diverse city, about the diversity of people and the benefits of having women, Black and ethnic minorities, the whole cross-section of society, either in your office, on your boards, or as your clients. And the more that we spread this word, and then we were way ahead of our game. We started that in 2003. And that exhibition, we said, we're not going to complain, actually. Why would we complain? Let's promote ourselves. Let's say that this Women in Architecture group and Black and ethnic minority are great. So you put up this poster of 50, you invite everybody to come to the exhibition, and that's the start. And that particular one, which I won't go into full details of now, went to 32 cities around the world, and we invited 10 of their best to join, and it became the global snowball. And that was because there was that need to say, hey, we are actually equal, and we need to have diversity, and therefore your business will be better and the built environment will be better. And it really works. We're up to 45% women in architecture these days. It's actually over 50 in college, and then it's between 35 and 40, depending on small or large offices. So we're much more equal now than we've ever been.
And we started with your mum, Angela, and we're going to finish our little fireside chat here back with Mum. So your mum's had rather an interesting summer, hasn't she? Would you like to tell us a little bit about that? Because everybody's going to love this part of the story.
Okay. Well, a few months ago, Mum got this letter from, a film crew, a film production house, saying, Mrs. Brady, we would really like to use your house potentially for a big Disney movie that's coming to town. And my mum lives out in County Wicklow. And I said, Mum, I said, that's definitely a scam. Let me check out, because why would they choose your house out of all of the houses, So I checked out my brother-in-law who's in film, and he said, oh no, I know these people. He said, tell your mum to go back and they can come and view. So they came out and they said, this house is perfect because it's surrounded by trees. So, neighbors won't get a view in, or you won't see anybody if they're filming. And there was a film called Enchanted, made about 10 years ago with Amy Adams and Patrick Dempsey and a whole host of other people. And they're doing the redoing of it. What you call a sequel, and they're calling it Disenchanted. So put up the picture of Mum's house. So on the right-hand side, On the right-hand side, you will see this new 2-story turret. Now, this is the only photograph I can show you because it's from the street and it's from the public domain. So anybody passing by could have taken this shot, because you can imagine there's all kinds of privacy rules around anything to do with Disney. So they put in these 30 trees, real trees planted there. They put on the 2-story turret there, and the place has got millions of flowers, artificial flowers, of course, all added onto it. But it's so much like Mum's stuff in a way, because Mum has always been a flower lady. And if you look on the left-hand side, that's Mum at her 90th birthday. And I asked her to hold up one of her latest paintings, and her other one down there with the little birds and things. It's always been that kind of very romantic, kind of fanciful idea. But they've completed the filming, and they've done up Enniskerry as well. I think many of you might have seen it on the news in Ireland. But it's amazing the amount of people that actually came down to see the house just to be photographed on the outside, or they had their little children brought in their fairy outfits just to have a photo at the gate in front of the house. And that was a real joy for them and something very special. And it was really lovely that Mum and my sister actually were able to share this. But today, the last bit of the turret has come down. They're striking the set, which was all finished with. But I did say to Mum, I said, Mum, you know, I could apply for planning permission for a real one if she liked. So we shall see what happens there.
That's a great idea. I think you should. I actually thought the turret was part of the house, Angela. So
no. That's pure plywood. Pure plywood.
Definitely put that back. Well, party people, we now thank you very much, Angela, and we're going to come back to you after our break, and I'm going to pass over to Mary, who's going to tell us what's happening next. Thank you so much, Angela. That was just fabulous.
Well, I told you that it would be an absolute cracker, and oh my God, how many nuggets of wisdom was there. Thank you so much, Angela. Amazing. Right now, so next piece of the puzzle for today, we're going to move into a breakout room. If you haven't been in our breakout rooms before, basically it's a way for all of you to meet new people, to network, to have a chat, to discuss this session, and to share. And just please make sure that everybody has a say. That's really important. So we are going to move into breakout room now for about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll be back for a short Q&A. Enjoy, everyone, enjoy. Angela, that was really insightful. And some questions that we got from the audience. How do you know when the side hustle becomes the full hustle?
That's a good question. I suppose it means when you'd be financially independent to move smoothly from one to the other. And I think that, you know, it's a matter of confidence as well. It's a matter of contacts. And I think it's kind of almost trying to say to your client base as well, you know, if I was to do this full time, you know, could I rely on you as a regular, you know, whether you're supplying this, that, or the other, or you're being a creative. So yeah, I guess it will sort of come naturally, and don't be afraid to do a stepping stone. People often move sideways and move in different directions, and go with your heart and your head.
Yeah, good advice. And then the other question that came in from Gillian McColgan, same question actually. How do you time manage, you know, the discipline between the side hustle and your day job, because both take significant amount of energy? So how do you manage that, and some good tips around that? Yeah,
well my architecture business is paramount because that's what pays the bills. And I've got a lot of, you know, we've got a good client basis you can't give up on one, or your business will fall flat, and your other one you won't be able to support. So you've got to look after your number one business and income, and try and do some kind of an income chart if you can, of what your likely income is, and then look at the other one. You know, how much do you need to increase that business? Can you do it yourself? Do you need to bring other people in? Should you be talking to another potential partner now to work together? All that kind of stuff. And then you can keep the two of them going for a number of years, because, you know, women are great multitaskers, and very often there is an overlap. like in nearly all of our architecture projects, I've put in some of my art or some of my glass, whether it be in a window or a piece of sculpture in for example, the Murphy's Garden or something. So, and also you're giving them, you're kind of crossing over. If you can cross over, that I think is a good advantage.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so many creative people have side hustles and do many different things. And then I suppose going back to that question about boards and using your voice and using your influence and giving back, I suppose then you need to think about your time in terms of pro bono things that you do, for example, like maybe being on a board. And how do you choose then, Agnela, the best board to go to for you?
Well, very often you're invited to go on a board, and you don't always have to say yes if it's not for you. That's another thing to remember. But I'm kind of way up here in terms of my age compared to the most of your people. So you have to start where you are at your career level and see what are your interests. You only would go to a board that is of interest to you personally. You don't go onto a board because it pays £2,000 a year to do 5 meetings. There's no point in that, because you will be useless, and it's the wrong reason. Most of the boards that I sit on are unpaid. When I was the RBA president, I was the last of the presidents in the unpaid job, because I said it should be a paid job, because I've had to give 50 grand a year to somebody sitting in my place, and I'm getting no income. And when you're giving something full time, when you could only do it 2 days if you wanted. So it's a matter of working out your commitment, choosing your boards. There's loads of different headhunters for women on boards. And then you have to have your CV actually tuned to whatever that will be. So have a versatile CV so you can pull in different things. The usual, have that in good shape. And then it's a matter about being patient and applying and going for the interviews. And you don't always get interviews. So yeah, I sit on four boards at the moment. Yeah. Because
if you were to go back to the first step and you're new and you've never approached anyone to be on a board before, what might be a good introduction note or something that you might write to someone to say, I'm interested and would you consider me? Is there a way around doing that?
Yeah. You've got to in the opening almost, you've got to really say what you're good at, So if you were let me think, if you were very good at IT, okay, if you were in IT for new ways of just getting things into shape, you would then be able to advise a board that is looking for somebody that has certain skills, or to be accounting or design or teaching or working with children, working with elders, HSE, whatever it might be. And so very often the boards say we are looking for people with certain skills, so you get that right up at the top. I'm most interested. You have a fantastic website. I like in particular the way you're doing this. I think you might also consider looking at these areas, and then they'd be your areas of interest. And it would be very good to expand your ideas into schools for education or something like that, or into community. Whatever it is, try and identify how you can best help that board with your skills. And remember, very often the first one that you will be on, it'll be sort of a listening, getting to know the people so they get to know you. But the most important thing is to speak up where it's relevant. And it's, you're not just saying, oh, I don't agree with that, I do agree with that. It's from my perspective, I think that a good idea would be trying this. And then you will be welcomed, because you're coming up with new ideas, and very often these boards are all nil, stale and pale and over 60. Yeah. So
if I'm to think about that, then you show your value up front and you show where you can be useful and helpful and constructive in how you work on that board.
Yeah, what you will bring to the board. I will bring a perspective as a you don't have to say an Irish woman, you don't have to isolate. You can say as a young person working in IT with expertise in this. In my current job, I advise people on doing this, this, and this. I could bring these skills to your board for some of our projects.
That's excellent.
You have to do your research. You have to do your research, and also look to the headhunters. There's a load of headhunters out there looking for women with different skills to come onto different boards. So if you're in nursing or if you're a doctor or whatever, you might go into an NHS or you might go into something completely different. Where if you were in something like a construction or one of those, you would be bringing that expertise because they won't have thought of those kind of skills. And I think it's the cross-fertilization of different skills is the best.
Yeah, and we're always talking about transferable skills and breaking down silos and collaboration, isn't that what we're talking about?
Absolutely. Going
back to RIBA and being the president, and as you said, you worked incredibly hard. What, I suppose, do you think, if you were to think about change, like what change do you think you might have achieved there, and what did you learn from the process? Because that's big, you know, to take on something like that.
Yeah.
And shattered glass ceilings, by the way, while you did it. So.
Well, I was the second woman architect to take up the post as Labour president, but the first non-British passport holder at the time. And I think that you have to surround yourself, if you're going into a leadership position, you've got to surround yourself with like-minded people, because very often big institutions, you know, it's 65,000 members all saying they want this, this and this. I went in with three things. You know, one was procurement, to get better procurement. I won't go into the detail of what procurement is, but it's how you get a job and how it's fairly done. To internationalize the RIBA. So I went to probably, I don't know, 35 different cities, spreading the word and promoting British architects. And then it was during the London 2012 Olympics, where I was to promote the British base, not just British, because some of them were Irish, for example. Yeah. So it was to promote the architecture and design as being the most sustainable Olympics to date. And that's a real big thing that we all have to do, is about sustainability and climate action on our built environment. So sticking to those three things, otherwise you will get, you know, lambasted with 20 things and you won't be able to do them all well. So you've got to really target a few key things, good team, and if you want to tackle something, bring in people to tackle something seriously together. Because in 2 years, it's very hard to make changes. You know, it really is. But yeah, I think I managed to do the things that I wanted, to improve them and leave that in a better place in my time.
That's a big legacy. It's a lot to be proud of. You mentioned the Olympics. I wanted to ask you about the protest dress briefly.
Oh, the protest dress. Yeah, the Olympics has always meant a lot to me and my family. My dad was on the Irish team in Mexico in '68 and in Munich in '72. Wow. He was on it's called the skis. It's actually clay pigeon shooting. It's a that's what they do. So anyway, we always had the Olympics in the house and all that, you know. And I thought, well, because I had TV experience, I said, I will stand to be president knowing that the Olympics is coming up, because they need somebody with TV presenting experience. Little did we know that the complexities of the Olympics and the Paralympics meant that only the sponsors were allowed to show their buildings. So we thought this was not good enough. So we challenged, and we had we were on 10 o'clock news with Drop the Ban, and we dropped this banner of the 52 names of all the architects, all the engineers, all of the, here we go. Yeah, so this was a dress that I'd picked up in the West End, and I got all these stick-on stickers, okay? I got all the names stuck, you know, the iron-on things that you have. Yeah, and then I had all of the architects, and then I had a picture of the three of us there with the black tape over our mouths. And it was Peter Murray of New London Architecture Centre who had started the campaign, and the structural engineer there, John Nolan, president, and myself, we joined the campaign and then made it strong. And that's my office up there in the first floor of Portland Place. And we just dropped this and we said, these are the architects that deserve the credit, regardless of any sponsorship. And then I was able to go down onto the Olympic site with the camera crew, and we got permission to interview every architect and every engineer over 2 days in front of their building. I have the only footage. I have the only footage of this because of the ban. So at least we got it in time for posterity, and we made a little video clip that went out in the name of the British Council. Britain is great. You know,
Agnela, where is your dress now?
Well, actually, I was giving a talk at the Women's Irish Network breakfast 3 years ago, and Sharon Armit from the Museum of London was, the Mola was in the audience, and she said, Angela, I love the dress. She said, I have one question for you. She said, would you donate your dress to the protest fashion session division of the Mola? So I thought about it for about half a second, I think, and I said, I would be delighted to have my dress in the museum. And so it has longevity there. And she said, the next time you're going to see your dress, said, you have to wear white gloves.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
That's really amazing. And it's about using the power of your voice again and bringing people together. And when you think something is wrong, standing
absolutely.
up to that. That's core. I'm going to open the mic now to all of you, because if you have some questions, I'd like you to pose them to Angela or us, the AwakenHub team founders. After a year, if you have a burning question you'd like to ask us, now is your time. And we've got about 10 minutes, so we finish on time. So if anyone has a question, we'll do our very best to answer them. So, do we have a question? I see Adele up there, Adele McDade.
Of course, I'll always put my hand up. I just wanted to know, ladies, have you achieved what you wanted to in your first year? Because I think it's amazing. So first of all, congratulations, but have you achieved what you wanted?
Since my mic is on, I'll go first. Yes, more than I imagined a year ago, because we were all in such, nobody knew what was going to happen next. And a lot of people felt really isolated and alone. So yes, I definitely think so. And thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Well done and congratulations. It is a real achievement to make the first year.
Thank you.
It really is. And you know, you got a lot of people here, a lot of supporters online.
Yeah.
Well done.
And if I could just add to that, Mary, Adele, I think we knew there was a demand for AwakenHub, but I think we completely underestimated the level of the demand as well. And in our first year, we've now over 1,000 people on our subscriber list. And what we've done organically. So we haven't really kind of gone out and shouted from the rooftops yet. You know, so we have a lot of plans in place for the next year or two. So I mean, I think we were just trying to bed ourselves in for the first 12 months and become a thing, or know if we really were a thing or not. And I think we are officially a thing now. We've got 5 mugs to prove it. So, you know, but I mean, it wouldn't be anything though without the people who are involved in the community. And I think we owe a huge thank you to all of you guys for the kind of generosity of spirit and the level of support and the openness. I think what's really different about AwakenHub is the level of like collaboration and openness, and people willing to share the kind of ugly side as well as the pretty side of what it means to be a founder, so that other women can either feel less alone or can learn from that. And you know, we're kind of ploughing a path, hopefully, for those that come behind us. So that's just my tuppence worth. Thanks.
I actually have 2, so I'll put them both out there and we can address one or the other. So for AwakenHub, what would your ideal vision be in 5 years' time of what it is? And then for Angela, or for any of the ladies in AwakenHub, glass ceilings. How do you handle them? We all know them, they're there. We all recognize them when they're there, but you know, do you power through it, keep your head down? Do you vocalize? Do you take the balance? Do you pitch it based on the audience? I'm just curious.
So will I take that first one, Gillian? I think it's kind of interesting, isn't it, that without any budget or any money or anything at all, that over the past 12 months we have amassed a community, pretty much all women, mainly on the island of Ireland, north and south, totally cross-border. We've looped in quite a number of women from our diaspora, and I'm looking at Tammy Ellen and people like that on my screen here, which, you know, we're so happy to have with us, and Maria, who's Donegal girl these days, you know, but she's still a Canadian, and it's a powerful thing, you know. As Sinead said, we're blown away. Really, the question is probably not for us, it's for all of you. But I would say that, you know, anything that involves a group of women who are all here because they intend to make a change in the world and to do things differently, who knows where we'll be? Maybe we'll be a political party. I don't know. But I'm going to just float it out there. You never know. Angela, do you want to take the one of glass ceilings?
Yeah. Well, you can get a hammer or a brick, whichever you think is the best one to break one. But never stick up with a glass ceiling. You have to challenge it. It's holding you down. It's oppressing you. And I think you have to do this by careful negotiation skills to the people who've put it up. Like, oh, did you know that some of the women here are actually being paid less than men for the same job, and it's actually against the EU ruling? Shall I look that up for you? You know, so you would make little gentle inquiries in the most polite way, never be aggressive, and then you would, with a few of your colleagues, you know, who recognize glass ceilings generally in big business, but you would recognize this, and you would see how you can just remove, you know, glass ceilings can come down. There's in Paris, for the women in architecture, they've been going for 25 years, I believe. They had a trophy, which was a hand coming through a glass ceiling like that. And it was very interesting that it was called the Glass Ceiling Awards for Women in Architecture, where women had broken through, and they had said, well, this is what this person has done to achieve balance, or to whatever it is. But yeah, glass ceilings are not acceptable in 2021. Never have been.
Agreed. Agreed. Any more questions before we... Karen, I see your hand up there.
I'm clapping, but I will I will speak. It's more an observation, really. In our breakout room, there were two of us who had taken the leap, you know, and to work on our project full time. And I think we were both saying that confidence was a huge part of that. So I just want to say thanks on behalf of everybody that you've given confidence to. So thank you.
No, thank you too. And it's great to see you out on your own and working away on your business. It's great. Anybody else with their hand up there?
Mary, Anya has her hand up as well.
Oh, very good. Anya then, please.
Hi, happy birthday. I loved what Angela was saying there about new learnings and going to classes and, you know, experimentation, the kind of cross-pollination that comes out from it. So I'd like to ask the founders of AwakenHub what class each of you would like to sign up for.
Oh, I'll start with that one. Singing. I can sing, but I am petrified of singing in public. I know it sounds ridiculous because look at me here. But yes, that's what I'm going to do next. So thanks to Angela, I'm signing up.
I'm going to do photography because I'm awful at taking photographs and stuff. Although I really enjoy kind of making albums and keeping all the photos in memory boxes and stuff like that. But sometimes, like, really like the fact that you'd be able to go out and explore and take photos of landscapes and stuff. So I think I am going to do that in the next 12 months for definite. Thanks to Angela.
I think mine is if there was one on holding your powder, because I'm known to be very direct. So if there was a how to be less direct course somewhere, anywhere, can someone point me to it, and I'll sign up for that, please. Thanks.
I think after the week I've had, I'm going to take a course in nice manners and being polite.
Yeah. I think we've got time for maybe one more question, and then we're going to round out the evening. So who would like to ask the last question?
I put one in the chat, but so I'll give it a go.
Go ahead, Nita.
So apart from starting AwakenHub, if we agree it can no longer be business as usual, what would you summarize AwakenHub's biggest step to changing usual business?
Great question. For me, it's collaboration. It's exactly what Angela was talking about bringing together people who are bigger than the sum of their parts. And we're not about competition. We're absolutely about collaboration and all boats rising. And the values, it's genuine. And I think that's been great for us. And we all can succeed and do really well together. Mary McKenna, do you want to take that too?
I mean, I'm just looking at Helen Nolan, actually, who's done a fantastic job with reinvigorating the area that we have around Cardona. I don't know if you want to chip in and say anything about that, Helen, but Helen had a mission and a vision, and through it she raised a massive amount of money from the Irish government to support the cause. Do you want to say anything about that at all, Helen? Switch your mic on and chip in.
Yeah, Mary, you're after putting me on the spot. I was hoping to keep a low profile, but that's okay. Yeah, yes, you're right. We had a vision and for Carndonna and North Inishowen for the last number of years, and worked really.
Oh, we've lost you.
We've lost sound yet.
We've lost your sound. I think it's probably your headphones.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my headphones. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, super. I think my internet's not great. So we worked really hard over the last number of years, loads of feasibility studies, consultations, etc. And we were rewarded in April with 9.5 million to completely reimagine a large area of Carndonna. Cairns quite a small town, 2,500 people, but it's going to bring in the whole hinterland as well. So it's a game changer, really, and we're absolutely delighted. Yeah.
So I have a question. I have a reason for bringing Helen in with that particular point. You know, I think if we are going to move the dial and if we are going to really change things for women in Ireland, AwakenHub probably needs to find a way of getting hold of some money so that we can invest in some of these things, so that we can scale up what we've started significantly, so that instead of it being 1,000 women, it's 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever that number is. So that's what our plans are.
The political party, Mary, is an excellent idea.
It was a joke.
Watch this space.
We heard it.
It is now just after 1:15, and we try and finish on time. So I wanted to thank everyone for being here this evening. It's been just a wonderful session again. Thank you a million times to Agnela for the session tonight, for being so open, for sharing your experience, and for being so inspirational. And I'm going to follow up with people and see how many of us took up a side hustle this year. So watch this space. I want to wish everyone a lovely summer. I hope you get some time off, lie in the grass, read a book, whatever it is. And we will see you all back here in September. And thank you all for the most wonderful first year of AwakenHub.